Can I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Leadership Tuesdays. In this fourth and final segment of a leadership conversation with Michelle Freeman, CEO of the Freeman Companies, we talk about leading people. Also, she was gracious enough to allow me to shadow her at a charity event in November 2013 at Covenant House, Washington, D.C.
So you mentioned your partners a lot, and also you manage employees. What are some of the characteristics you look for, or that are important to you in your employees, and also the people that you partner with?
Yeah, so I think hard work is one of the so work ethic is really important to me. I am one of the first people here. I sometimes am one of the last people to leave. And not that I don't want people to have family lives and do things that are really important to them, like go on family vacations. I said to one of my senior vice presidents this year, that's it, you're done, you gotta go. You've got to go spend 2 weeks with your family. So I'd say, this kind of roll up your sleeves, let's do this kind of attitude. I think tenacity is really important. Whether it's because I'm a woman and a lot of times things feel closed off to me that a guy would kind of just walk straight through. I think this idea that, you try it that way, then you come around this way, and then maybe you go that way, and you're going to find a way to get there. So to be tenacious, I think to be respectful. I think to be respectful of one another and then the people that we do business with. I think, I think whenever you're dealing with large sums of money and, people making deals in the transactional piece of my business, there's always that line, that you could step over that might make it easier, but that doesn't make it better. And so I want people and respect the people I work with that say, all right, well, if I stepped over that line, I might get the deal, but I wouldn't be a better person. And so I'm going to do the hard thing. I'm going to do the harder thing, and I may not get the deal, but I'm going to be right with myself, and I'm going to be right with Michelle, and ultimately, I'm going to be right with whoever it is I answer to at the end of the night, and then I love collaboration. Right? So this guy, even though he, someone's trying to cheat from him and he's got his, thing and he's covering his work, he doesn't work for me. Okay. The guy or the girl that works for me are the people that like idea exchange, my problem is that our meetings run too long because, we get on an idea and one of us starts to talk, and then everyone starts to talk. And I was raised in family businesses. So when my grandfather came here in Italy, he started a business, and all my uncles were involved in that business. And so this is my extended family. And so we get around the table, and we may have an issue, and we spend, hours discussing how we might figure out that issue. And then I think that they have to be good, kind people, I think that part of who we are is the sharing, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so, to be out in your community, to be involved in your church, to be a coach, to come sleep out with me, to like I said, a bunch will be at Wider Circle on Friday. There is something about the people that do that versus about the people that are about themselves. I find those people to be kind of in two different kind of classes. And and then they need to be able to put up with me, which is kind of an ADHD, let's do this, no, let's do that kind of leadership style. And they need to help keep me disciplined. I do like the idea generating part of this business. And so they need to be people that can get from A to Z organized and follow a path, and then we all celebrate, when that thing comes to fruition.
Now you're very busy. We met at Covenant House, and then you also sit on the board of some of the nonprofit organizations in Washington, the Washington National Opera, and the Landon School, and then you run the Carl Freeman Foundation. You're a single mother, 3 kids, 2 school-age kids. How do you balance everything?
I will honestly say that I am happy. I am a happy person doing what I'm doing. Now, Becky, who's my assistant, thinks I'm insane. But each piece of what you described is a part of who I am, So, and I think what they do, I described it for Elle magazine as, spinning the plates. And you spin the plate that's on the rod, and then you spin the next one, and then you might have to spin the next one. And that's not a great analogy, because sooner or later one of the plates falls and crashes, and I'd like to think that nothing falls and crashes. But it is, it's less about balance and more about almost moving your priority, And so when I'm off on Friday, you and I talked about phones and the digital age earlier, but when I'm off on Friday and I'm with my children, I am fully engaged with my children, right? So Ben and Juliana know that they are the most important thing to me. When I am here, the people here, I need to give them what they deserve from me is, a good 8 to 9 hours of leadership, collaboration, but for me to be present for them. And so really it's this kind of engaging and disengaging of where you are. And when I sit in Washington National Opera or on the Landon board, or when I sit in a meeting where we're discussing, these incredible sports teams that I get to be a part of, I think my goal for that is to stay in the moment and be fully engaged in whatever I'm doing. It doesn't leave much time for personal life, I will say that, which if, I was taking my own inventory, it would be like, so I have very forgiving friends, because my friends know that I love them, but this is a calling for me. So now Becky has said if I join one more board, she's done. She'll quit. So every once in a while, she does lay it out for me. She'll say, "Yeah, you're not doing that," or "Yeah, you need to tell them no," or So she's kind of my Jiminy Cricket, because there's a part of me that likes to think I'm capable of doing anything. Anything I set my mind to. And like I said, if you ask me to not do one of those things, that would be difficult. That would be a difficult decision for me to make. And I think ultimately they each reflect some part of my personality, And I think the one thing I would never do is do something like that and not have it be meaningful. So now I value my time enough, right? So I think in your 20s, as a woman, you start to know that you have to value yourself more, but you're not there yet, right? And that's where you start to that whole game of respecting yourself and forcing people to respect you and look at you. And your 30s is more of that journey, but in your 40s, I think you get inside your skin and you go, this is who I am, and my time is worth something. And so if you're going to let my voice be heard, and I'm going to lend something to the cause, or I'm going to be able to be a part of something bigger than myself, then I'm in. If I'm here to look pretty, or to be a figurehead of any type, or you just need my name, then, hey, you know what, have at it, but I'm not showing up, So it's almost at that point now in my life. But yeah, I will say this, after losing Josh and going through that personal tragedy, there were people who said, why don't you just stay in bed? And certainly, I would be lying to say that there weren't days that I didn't, crawl, like literally crawl, to get dressed. But I think having a purpose, and each one of those things you described is about purpose, is about making the world better, that pulls you up. That gives you a reason to be and to show up for other people. And that's really the secret, right? You think you're doing it for yourself, or you think you're doing it for that other person, and really what starts to happen is, I sleep out, and it's supposed to be about the homeless teenagers that I have this affinity for. But really, it changes me, and that's why every November I'll sleep out.
Peel back the mask you're wearing. Every day I'm staring into the eyes of a lie you can't hide. Faking so long, so now you're deceived by the image you conceive in your world of make-believe. Underneath the labels and the attitude is an average girl scared they catch on to you because you're just too good and they ain't good enough.
I think I do this because I have young children, because my own past and how I grew up was not easy. I faced a lot of adversity in my life. And I feel like there are many times in my life I got to the next place because someone was good enough to give something of themselves. And so I think a lot of times my philanthropy is about writing checks or supporting a cause or attending something. And I think the abuse that leads to homelessness, the familial, disconnect that leads to homelessness, resonates with me. And so it's something that I felt like I could take a peaceful stand toward and sleep out in solidarity and maybe do my part in bringing about change.
You spent a lot of time talking to the children and they're young adults really. And what stuck out most about your conversations with them?
That I think so much in life is it's like simple chance. The family we're born into, we all want the same things. We're all the same on the inside. But they happen to be born into families with maybe a mom that uses drugs or two parents that aren't there, or, into a poverty level that makes them live in a neighborhood where they can't, and we're the same. Me and that child is the same. Mm-hmm. We're just born into different nuclear families. And so here they are. But they're no different. They want the same things, and they have the same hopes and dreams that we have. And they just need that little help. They need to get out of the shelter and maybe get their own apartment and get a job and understand about education and, start to get on their path. Their path's just been disrupted.
I saw you interacting with them and really, seemed like you were talking to them and advising them a little bit. Are there anything that you can share in terms of that might resonate with others who are going through difficult times?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've lived by is, this too shall pass. That how you feel right at this moment doesn't define who you are. It's just a point in time, and you never want to get too religious or spiritual or faith-based with kids because they tend to go, what? But, that I think like God knows why you're in this place. And you may not understand it completely. In fact, I think a lot of times you don't. You go, why am I experiencing this pain or this adversity? But then you get down the road and you turn around and you look back and you go, it's because of that time that I'm able to do this now in my life. Had I not walked through my own adversity, maybe I wouldn't be the philanthropist that I am today, right? Maybe I wouldn't have the level of empathy I have for the people that I try to be involved with and the causes I try to, support. So, I think it's that. It's that, yes, it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard and it's not painful and it doesn't hurt, but there is a purpose. There is a purpose.
With nothing, I turned it all into 10. I had to start all over again, but oh, look at what I did. With nothing. Can I see your hands? Yeah. I need to see hands of people who live unapologetic, love unconditional, live on the dollar route, surely ready you.